Mission, two men, one podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, what's up? Holla at your boy. This is Len, aka the Bat Tribble.
And here, as we bring Octavia April to a close, we will spend time with an interesting film from 2021. Directed and written by Saul Williams, co-directed with Anissa Uziman, Neptune Frost, the choice of Lynn Webb.
Yes.
Here as we end Octavia April in true science fiction fashion.
I try.
But before we get to Neptune Frost, how are you, Lynn? How are things?
I'm doing very well. Vincent, how are you doing?
I'm also doing well.
That's good to hear.
We had a pre-show exercise that I feel good about myself. I feel like I was stretched in, so you know what? I'm feeling pretty good.
It was so good, we're gonna have to bring it on
We
there.
have to bring it back before.
Shout out to each and every one of you out there who are watching us as we are streaming live from the Video Content Factory in Manayunk via way of Restream to YouTube as well as Facebook. Shout out to each and every one of you out there who is also saying your huzzahs in the chat, such as Robert Monroe Jr. and Aaron Fry and everyone else out there. Hello, hello, hello.
Good evening, one and all.
Now, what Vincent was alluding to, ladies and gentlemen, as you'll notice, we've told you that our new studio setup here at the VCF is a work in progress. And tonight, we are premiering two, you'll notice behind us, two movie posters. And these are actual movie posters from the works of our namesake, Oscar Micheaux.
Yes.
Now, behind me, I believe that's where you'll see The Exile.
Yes, it is. It's a mighty modern, all-talking epic of Negro life.
Yes. We have that behind me. Behind Vincent, we have a movie poster for Underworld, featuring an all-colored cast.
All-colored cast.
With B. Freeman, Saul Johnson, and Oscar Polk. Now, those names are like the featured stars.
Sure, sure.
But also in the credits, it has alongside Ethel Moses, a gentleman by the name of Slick Chester.
Slick Chester, because some people were on the fence about whether or not
they were slick or not.
They wanted to see the film. And then they said, hey, did we mention that Slick Chester is also in the film?
So Slick is the one that brought him.
That's right. He's the one that pushes. They call him the closer. Oscar Micheaux used to call him the closer.
You know, we laugh at this, but perhaps he did. Because what Vincent, in his almighty wisdom,
that's one way to put it,
or insanity, you be the judge, was able to prove is that he could take one Slick the Closer Chester.
Slick Chester.
And connect him in 6 movies or less.
I could.
To D'Urville Martin. Now, before you think, well, hey, it's a black film. Sure. But this is Underworld. An Oscar Micheaux movie from 1920. I'm going to say before 1925, most likely.
Yeah, not only that, but let me see if Oscar Micheaux Underworld. I wonder if this is a film that you can actually. Oh, you can watch it. So it does exist. I thought maybe it was a ghost film.
Oh no, it's a real film. Real film.
Yeah.
So like pre.
But it's from 1937.
Okay, so 1937.
1937.
1937. So it's not as old as I thought. It's still freaking old.
Pretty old.
We're still talking about an almost 80-year-old movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But Vincent proved that he could connect Slick Chester.
Slick. Because that's not his government.
That's not his government.
It's nom de plume. Slick Chester.
Because in the United States, he was slick. Slick Chester.
Slick Chester.
To D'Urville Martin.
It's true.
Vincent, make it so.
Well, Slick Chester was in Harlem is Heaven.
Harlem is Heaven.
With Bill Bojangles Robinson.
Okay, Bill Bojangles Robinson, one of the dance greats of the early 20th century.
Who has a cameo in Amazing Grace.
Bill Bojangles Robinson has a cameo in Amazing Grace.
Yes.
Which is to be confused with the documentary.
No, this is the film.
Franklin.
This is Mom's Mabley's film.
Yes, a 70s.
70s film.
70s comedy.
And Rosalind Cash is in Amazing Grace.
Rosalind Cash, who may be the D'Urville Martin.
Maybe a D'Urville. She shows up in interesting places. The last time we talked about her was last week in Omega Man.
I know.
So Rosalind Cash, Cash wasn't just her last name.
No, it wasn't.
Right. But Rudy Ray Moore is, of course, in Rosalind Cash is in The Monkey Hustle as well, with Rudy Ray Moore, who is, of course, in Dolomite
with
D'Urville Martin.
Vincent, I kneel before thee.
Yeah.
You
OCD or encyclopedic, you decide.
You are a beast, man.
Yeah.
You are a beast. Looking in the chat, Deborah Battle is speaking about interesting thing that she's talking about. This gets us right into the next thing that we want to talk about. She said that she spent today watching episodes of the game show What's My Line from 1950 through 1967, where there was a certain person who was a guest on the panel of that show twice. And that show was a show where you basically stars sat and had an anonymous person come in and by basically paying like 20 questions, they had to guess who this person was and what they did for a living.
Sure.
And a person of note was a guest on the panel twice, and was on there 6 times four times.
Interesting.
As a mystery guest.
Interesting.
And this person of note was one Harry Belafonte.
Harry Belafonte. Who
passed away today at the age of 96 years young.
Yeah.
An accomplished actor, performer, and as accomplished as he was in both those fields, with many, many accolades to his name, he probably is somewhere smiling that he is probably more best known and more widely heralded for his activist work.
Absolutely.
For his political work.
Absolutely.
And I know he's someone that actually resonated with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the foundation, of course, is frankly the activism. I think he's one of the people who literally financed so much of the civil rights movement. And people like Ralph Abernathy and Dr. Martin Luther King talked about the fact that you need money for logistics to rent. You had to rent these buses. You had to feed people who went and sat in and did all of these things. And Harry Belafonte was one of the main sort of key figures in Hollywood. But I think what is even more impressive about his life as an activist is we think about his civil rights era work, but this is someone who was an activist all the way into the end of his life.
To the end of his life.
Like whether we're talking about the situation in Haiti in the 80s and 90s, or apartheid, police brutality. Like, this is someone who really walked the walk his entire life. And for us, that would be the most important part. You and I are fans of his work as an actor. you know, here and there. And I have to say, it's probably wasn't a cool thing to do. Like, this isn't a poetic thing, but I've been thinking about Geechee Dan Buford all day, which is a role he played in Uptown Saturday Night, which is one of my favorite films. I know it's one of your favorite films.
It is.
But I have such affection for that because I think when you think about Harry Belafonte and especially like those old pictures, he's so put together.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was just a beautiful man. So in a film like Uptown Saturday Night or a film that I'm going to say we just discovered in the past 5 years, Buck and the Preacher, where he got to kind of not be that guy.
And have a lot of fun.
And it seems like everyone talked to, you know, had a great sense of humor, you know, lived a wonderful life. And you know, a giant has fallen.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but at 96 years old, man, that's like, yo, man.
Yeah.
Lay it down. Your work is done.
Yeah, well done.
Your work, exactly.
Well done. Yeah.
Well done. Well done. In that regard, George Kimona was saying that when I read his obit, I couldn't help but think of the Outside Story, because the Outside Story, which is a film that we've reviewed on the Micheaux Mission, which stars Brian Tyree Henry, he was actually, his job was putting together like those little vignettes that you would do for older stars.
Yeah.
You know, because you never knew.
Right.
And let's face it, when you cross 80,
right,
you know,
they have the tape ready.
They've got it ready, and they're just constantly just updating it every year.
Yeah.
And somebody like Harry Belafonte, honestly, Harry Belafonte, the book was written on the man, like you said, already.
I know.
Because he really hasn't acted much since, I think, like maybe the early 2000s. He's got like one small cameo or something like that. But by then, the book was already written on the
Absolutely.
man. He did the work, and he was still out there as a symbol. You know, what I always appreciated about him, and I have made no secret that one of the gifts of doing this show is that while I've always enjoyed Harry Belafonte, I didn't think that he was that accomplished as an actor, right? I loved Geechee Dan Buford. I loved Uptown Saturday Night. Was not aware of Buck and the Preacher. So anything else that I ain't seen him in, I was like, he's Harry Belafonte.
Right.
But one of the gifts of this show is now having to watch his works and all of his works, and works that I was unaware of, and really get to appreciate, you know, him as an actor and how nuanced he was as an actor, and then learning more about his life and learning how thoughtful and intentional he was about the roles that he took. But all of that aside, I've never made any secret that whatever I may think of him as an actor, I will never shit on that man's name as just a man, as a political figure, as one of the most important black men of the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, easily. Yeah.
In light of that, and in respect to Mr. Belafonte, we are going to dedicate tonight's top 5 to the top 5 Harry Belafonte roles.
All right.
Who's your top 5?
This should be fun.
My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is.
Top 5 Harry Belafonte roles, Vincent, and I'm going to start at number 5. And these are in order of my preference. Okay, so you may disagree. Number 5.
Number 5.
Buck and the Preacher. 1972 American Western comedy. Written by Ernest Kinoy and directed by Sidney Poitier.
His dear friend, Sidney Poitier.
Who stars alongside Harry Belafonte and Ruby Dee. This was actually Sidney Poitier's first film that he directed. The film broke the Hollywood Western tradition by casting black actors as central characters and portraying both tension and solidarity between African Americans and Native Americans in the late 19th century. It is also notable for having blues musicians Sonny Terry, Brownie McGee, and Don Frank Brooks on the film's soundtrack, which was composed by jazz great Benny Cartier.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It is an easy, breezy,
It's a
fun
great
movie.
We really enjoyed that when we reviewed it. And there is a better world. There's like a parallel universe that's a better world than this one, where there were 2 direct sequels to this.
Yes, and they just went
and
had some fun.
and just Buck and the Preacher.
Yeah.
And then there was a spinoff just for the Preacher that wasn't as well received. But I had great fondness for it.
I'm sure you did.
Right, like he opens a coffee shop on the frontier.
Coffee shop.
I'm just saying. They called it Buck's Cafe, and it was very confusing. The marketing was very confusing.
Yes, because it was the Preacher.
Right. Right. All right. I messed it up. It's like, wait. I thought Sidney Poitier was Buck. Right. There you go. But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's what I appreciate about that, and no knock to Sidney Poitier.
No, of
But
course
Sidney
not.
Poitier, as much as he did kind of stretch himself, he kind of was Sidney in a lot of movies,
Look,
right?
he
It was like
straight,
maybe
kinda
different.
straight.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But this is not Harry Belafonte. The Preacher is not Harry Belafonte.
No.
Or if it is, it's him on a way low.
Right,
Because
right.
The Preacher is out there, dog. And
Right.
now you can tell Harry Belafonte in that role is having the time of his
I
life.
know.
He is having so much fun.
I know.
He's having such a joy. And it makes you, this and another role, which we'll talk about, it makes you wonder about the alternative universe where Harry Belafonte does more comedy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, really. And that great smile, even
Yeah.
with his jacked up teeth.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4, we're going back to 1959.
Okay.
And this is a favorite of yours.
Okay.
A film that Harry Belafonte stars with only 2 other actors.
Yeah.
Inger Stevens and Mel Ferrer in the science fiction doomsday film The World, the Flesh, and the
The
Devil
World, the Flesh, and the Devil.
from 1989, set in a post-apocalyptic world with very few human survivors and based on the 1901 novel The Purple Cloud and the story of the end of the world by Ferdinand Reer. This was a movie that The Mission introduced me to.
Me as well.
Was not aware of it.
Yeah, me as well.
I was taken in by the settings of this. I think Harry Belafonte is very good in this film.
You had to come around to it.
I had to
though.
come around. I had to watch it the second time.
Had to come around to it, though.
I watched it the second
Right,
time and I
right.
said, you know what?
Uh-huh.
Harry's doing work.
Right, right.
First time,
Yeah.
my Harry Belafonte bias was shown.
Right. Hey, this is The Mission. We watch it once, we review it.
That's exactly.
So,
And
you
then-
know.
But I watched it again in passing. I was like, he's actually pretty good in this
Yeah.
movie. And it's a very interesting
It really is.
film for 1959.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? And this is also an indication, this is still very early in his career, but how intentional he is about the roles that he takes.
Absolutely.
You know, because he comes up around the time of Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
And Sidney Poitier is a working actor at this time as well. And I'm not going to say Sidney Poitier is not being diligent,
Sure.
but I would argue this and another role are more of a stretch than Sidney's doing in this time, and Harry's going for it.
It's interesting. I'm finishing up a book by Will Haygood called Colorization,
Okay,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
about
yeah.
black people in film. And he has a whole chapter on the relationship
Between
Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier, and how they were basically doing what you alluded to. Like, they kept an eye on each other. Like, it wasn't really a rivalry because they were friends, but they very much kind of used each other as North Stars, basically. Like the kind of roles you take really speak to the kind of roles that I want to take. Like, the way you represent yourself is the way I want to represent myself.
Wasn't there one time like a little bit of a friction between them, if I understand?
No, not really.
No?
Not really. I mean, and if it was friendly.
Okay.
If it, like, because, Sidney Poitier obviously was the actor
Yeah.
first. And then Harry Belafonte comes into it because
he comes
from singing.
Right.
But I think both of them, as you said, were very intentional about their image as black men on this stage.
Right.
And they're really unique figures at this moment that they kind of ascend at the similar time. Like, they're basically the black leading men.
They are.
So,
They are.
but yeah, good film.
Number
Shout out to Will Haygood.
Yeah.
Shout out to Will Haygood. It's a great book.
Number 3. We've already alluded to it. One of your favorites.
Absolutely.
Definitely one of my favorites. And the very first movie that we reviewed.
Very first Michelle Mission.
On the Michelle Mission. From 1974, also directed by Sidney Poitier, who stars alongside Harry Belafonte and Bill Cosby, Uptown Saturday Night.
Yes, sir.
The film where Harry Belafonte plays gangster Geechee Dan Buford.
Geechee Dan Buford.
Who wants to defeat his rival, Silky Slim.
Silky Slim, played by the great Calvin Lockhart.
There's so many moments in this movie.
Oh, my goodness.
Where I laugh out loud.
Oh, my goodness.
And just to think of them, I laugh out loud. But one of them.
I bet I know the one you're about to say.
Is when Sidney and Bill Cosby go to see Geechee.
There it is.
And Harold Belafonte is getting ready to, talk to him. But he stops. And he's got to get his nasal spray about 4 or 5 times. Right. And then, does he crack like an egg?
He cracks it. Actually, the nose spray is last.
That's right. That's after
he cracks the egg. He puts some Worcestershire sauce on the egg. He picks the egg up in the dish.
Because he cracks it into a dish.
He cracks it into a saucer.
Yes.
Into a saucer. Puts the Worcestershire sauce on it. There we go. He picks up the saucer. He looks Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier dead in the face. Slurps it down. Takes out the nose spray.
And then puts it back. Gotta put it back.
Now, what the hell you two N-words want? It is so funny.
Because his eyes, he's just... And and the other thing is, like, he's doing slightly a parody of Marlon Brando.
Right.
In The Godfather.
Yeah.
So his mouth is stuffed with cotton. Oh, my God.
And it's Harry Belafonte.
It's Harry Belafonte. This is the man who walked with King.
Right.
And he's there. And he's loving. Oh, my God. I crack up just thinking about that.
There is no film that brings me as much joy as Uptown Saturday Night. Like, it really is my film that makes me happy. And he's such a huge, like you said, throughout the film, there's a part where he's playing softball at the picnic and he's knocking people over. At one point, he's in disguise as a lady but he's covering up his mustache. And it is such an amazing role. And much like you said with Buck and the Preacher, he's having a ball.
He's having so much much fun.
He's having and they're all having so much fun.
Everybody in that movie is having a good
Just having a good time.
Oh God.
So I don't know what 2 and 1 are going to be.
I love that movie. Number two. Now, mind you,
These are yours. Absolutely.
and this is a film that I've told you about, but I don't think you've seen yet.
Maybe not.
Produced and directed by Robert Wise, more commonly known as the director of West Side Story.
Okay.
It is a film that stars Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte is from 1959.
Mm-hmm.
Now Harry Belafonte in this film plays a nightclub entertainer named Johnny Ingram.
Okay.
But here's the synopsis of the movie. David Burke is a former policeman who was ruined when he refuses to cooperate with state crime investigators. So he asks Earl Slater, a tough ex-con and racist,
Oh, no.
to help him rob a bank, promising him $50,000 if the robbery is successful. Burke also recruits Johnny Ingram, Harry Belafonte's character, because Johnny has huge gambling debts. That's
how they get you.
So that's how he gets them. Slater, who is supported by his girlfriend Lori Slater, who remember is the ex-con and racist, finds out that the third party on this caper is black, and he's like, "Oh no, hell of that! I'm not doing this job with this brother."
Okay. All right.
However, he needs the dough too, so there's an unholy alliance of these three men that have to pull this caper in the 1959 film Odds Against Tomorrow.
Wow. It sounds good because I'm going to assume that there are complications
Oh yes, there are complications.
and double crosses.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I found this film very happenstance on Turner Classic Movies,
Right on brand.
on their Noir Alley.
Okay.
I love film noir.
Yeah.
So when they said it was a noir film, I said, I don't care. I'm going to watch
You're
it.
just going to watch it. And then
They said Harry Belafonte. I said,
Yeah.
Harry Belafonte.
And Harry Belafonte said, hold my beer.
And that's what he did. And Harry Belafonte put in work, dog.
All right.
Harry Belafonte put in work.
Is it a black film?
I would say it's a black film because he's the lead.
Right. And from what you say, it can't.
It's definitely incumbent upon him being a black person.
All right.
In this movie.
On the docket.
It is so tight.
Okay.
And even though he's a nightclub entertainer, it's like a musician, he's not singing. I think they show his band like maybe once or twice,
Right.
but it's not any prolonged thing. It's film noir. It's crime.
Okay.
It's stylish as hell. It's like everything you think about noir, the shadows, the black and white, the composition, it is all there. And Harry Belafonte as, again, what you think about noir, this poor, sad sack caught in a situation
Right.
that he just can't find his way out
Right.
of.
It's
all right there.
Because he liked the ponies.
Yes. I can't remember if it's the pony or it was the horses, but it's like he definitely has like huge debts, and he's an addict.
Is it a difference between the ponies and the horses?
Number one.
I'm genuinely like I thought you were telling me something. I was like, I thought that was just a euphemism for horses. Do they race ponies?
No.
Oh.
No. When you said you said ponies.
Yeah.
I saw dog racing.
You saw dog racing.
I saw-
You think that when they say he's like the ponies, they're talking about dogs as opposed to horses.
I don't know why I saw dog racing. More to the point, I didn't even see like dog races. I saw the animated
You saw the anime.
Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Let's be clear. All I know about this is from the movies. I don't even know how any of this works. I just know it from the movies.
I saw the dogs.
Oh yeah, he likes the ponies, and it's like, you know, it's always the dude, and he tears up his ticket. Like he tears up his ticket.
You've never gone to a horse race?
I've never been to, and I'm from Baltimore.
Yeah. Come on, dude. I've been at least 3 horse
I
races.
have driven past Pimlico, not Pimlico, Preakness, no Pimlico, my whole life.
And never.
I've never actually been to a horse race.
It's kind of cool.
I mean,
It is actually kind of cool.
apparently don't be betting on it because you're fooling
no,
around
I did not bet.
and then you owe people money
No.
and then you end up having to rob a bank with the races
I did bet.
and there'll be complications.
The second time I went,
Double crosses.
I laid a bet. I lost.
You lost and then that was it. That was it.
I didn't care.
That was it.
However, I had an amazing steak.
Yeah.
I can say that.
Yes.
I had an amazing dinner.
Right.
It was
All right.
delicious.
All right.
With potatoes.
All right. It wasn't like a guy over on the side crying because he had like tore
Because I'm seeing this.
because he tore up all his ticket.
No.
Because he had lost.
No, I did see people that were losing.
Right.
But, you know.
Not you. All
I
right.
had a dinner.
Okay. All right.
Like $5 for it.
Well, there you go.
Thank you. All right.
And that's number 2.
That's number 2.
What is better than this in Uptown Saturday Night?
There can only be one role for Harry Belafonte that would top his performance in Uptown Saturday Night, Bucking the Preacher, Odds Against Tomorrow. We're not even mentioning any of the films that he did with Dorothy Dandridge.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
Oh, so it's not not Porgy, but so I guess it's not Cleopatra Jones, Carmen Jones.
it's not Carmen Jones.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep. It's not Bright Road.
Well, I knew it wasn't Bright Road.
We know it.
We knew it wasn't Bright Road.
Number 1 Harry Belafonte performance
Okay.
is Harry Belafonte.
Oh.
1927, 2023.
Oh.
96 years old. Helped organize the Grammy Award-winning song. I forgot about this. He was instrumental in putting together "We Are the World" back in 1987. He received an appointment to UNICEF as a Goodwill ambassador. Following his appointment, he traveled to Dakar, where he served as the chairman of the International Symposium of Artists and Intellectuals for African Children. He also helped to raise funds alongside with more than 20 other artists, the largest concert ever held in Saharan Africa. In 1994, he went on a mission to Rwanda and launched the media campaign to raise awareness of the needs of Rwandan children. In 2001, the book was already written on this man.
You could have went and sat down.
He could have sat down. But
Yeah.
in 2001, he went to South Africa to support the campaign against HIV and AIDS. In 2002, Africare awarded him the Bishop John Walker Distinguished Humanitarian Service Award for his efforts to assist Africa. In 2004, he went to Kenya to stress the importance of educating the children in the region. He was active in the anti-apartheid movement. He was a master of ceremonies at a reception honoring the African National Congress President Oliver Tambo in New York City. The accolades go on and on and on. This is on a business side, but I wasn't even aware of this. He liked and often visited the Caribbean island of Bonaire.
Okay.
So he and a partner, Maurice Neem, formed a joint venture to create a private community there, which started construction in 1966. Is still managed by the Belle Nem Caribbean Development Corporation, and as of 2017, still was home to 717 people.
Wow.
I don't care what he did before the screen. Mm-hmm. He didn't do shit that compared to what he just did as himself. A man, like you said, talk to talk, walk to walk, Harry Belafonte.
Rest in peace, brother.
Most def. All right.
All right.
Let's get to the Game of Kings.
Yes, yes. Speaking of icons.
That's the key. Why you would be surprised what a person can do with just a sense of touch and a sense of sound.
I feel like I should do 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin to Harry Belafonte, but it's too easy.
It is. It's very easy.
It's a layup. But
Yeah.
just for the layup of it all, 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin to Harry Belafonte. I'll still do the other two.
Do the other two? Yeah. So D'Urville Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier, who's in Buffalo Preacher with
I forgot.
Harry Belafonte.
I forgot about that one. It was so easy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There
Very
you
good.
go.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Thus, our Harry Belafonte section of the show.
Yeah, pretty quickly. Yeah.
All right. 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, Vincent, where I will give you two actors of my choice, and you will connect them in 6 films or less to D'Urville Martin.
Yes.
And in keeping in theme with the film that we're reviewing, Neptune Frost.
Neptune Frost. Yes.
These are actors whose names are also places.
Whose names are also places.
Yes. Okay.
I like it.
So, number one.
Number one.
In 6 movies or less.
6 movies or less.
Connect D'Urville Martin
D'Urville Martin
to Orlando Bloom.
Orlando Bloom. Okay, well, D'Urville Martin, of course, is in how do I want to get to this?
Do you know who Orlando Bloom is?
Yeah, absolutely do.
All right.
Yeah,
I know your blind spots.
dude. So D'Urville Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier is in Paris Blues with Diane Carroll. Diane Carroll is in, what's my one word movie? Split. With Jim Brown.
You can't claim Split. That's my movie.
Who is in Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino. Remember, he plays one of the coaches.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Who is in Donnie Brasco with
You're going along, man.
Johnny Depp. Oh, yeah, I know I'm going along. Johnny Depp, who is in Pirates of the Caribbean with Orlando Bloom.
Very good. Very good. I don't know why I thought you were going to go to Lord of the Rings. Not saying that you could have got there.
Yeah, I was about to say, Lord of the Rings is just as convoluted.
No, not saying that you.
Yeah.
Probably just.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
In my mind, that's where you.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Were connected.
Yeah.
I forgot all about the Caribbean
Yeah.
movies. Very good.
All right.
Number two.
Number two.
6 films or less connect D'Urville Martin to
D'Urville Martin 2.
Winona Ryder,
Winona Ryder.
who was actually named after a city.
Well, that's Winona Ryder. You get to her because D'Urville Martin is in D'Urville Martin is in. It's the quickest. What's my quickest one? Is in the final. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Right there. D'Urville Martin's in the final come down with Billy D. Williams, who is in Batman '89 with Michael Keaton, who's in Beetlejuice with Winona Ryder.
What'd you call it? OCD.
Or encyclopedic. You decide.
You decide. Very good, Vincent.
Yeah.
Very, very good. You know, speaking of which,
Speaking of undiagnosed with mental challenges, you should probably speak to someone about this.
I feel like I'm about to do like an AstraZeneca commercial. Like, we're not even going to be saying anything, and somebody's just going to say side effects may be.
I was right.
Connecting 70s action stars to nondescript actors.
Yeah.
Turner Classic Movies.
Okay.
All this month of April has been celebrating Warner Brothers, which is 100 years old.
Okay.
So they've only been showing Warner Brothers movies.
Nice.
This entire month. Mm-hmm. And just recently, they had a double feature. Mm-hmm. And it came on like overnight. First time on Turner Classic Movies. They showed Superman.
Okay, nice.
From 1978.
Okay.
Followed by Batman from 1989.
From 89. Okay, very nice.
And as much as I wanted to resist seeing them, I said,
oh, I wouldn't even. Why even play those games?
Just let me just watch them.
Yeah, don't even. Yeah.
So I sat and I watched both of them back to back. And
Yeah.
this may be the first time I've watched both of them back to back.
It's not a bad evening.
First thing about Superman is that I realized is that it's a very charming movie. Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, not a lot of Superman.
No.
In it.
No, not at all.
It's really, and the story is very slight.
Dude. The whole my nerd rage is about to come out. Superman resonates because Richard Donner trusts the actors.
Mm-hmm. The director of the film.
God bless Christopher Reeves. Margot Kidder and Gene Hackman carry that film on their shoulders.
Yes.
They just carry the film. And they're better than Christopher Reeves. But Christopher Reeves is good.
He's good. You're right. They're better.
As Clark Kent.
Right.
Like the Daily Planet scenes are actually the best part. Mm-hmm. Just him bouncing off of, like, you can tell they sat and watched The Thin Man and watched, like, you know, some Clark Gable,
Rosalind Russell.
Right.
My Gal Friday.
Yeah. So you know, oh, you gotta make it like Superman. And then they just don't have any chemistry with the actors, and the actors don't have any oomph, and yes.
Charming film.
It look
Very charming
big fan.
film.
I don't, you know, the part I don't like. I don't like that one little racist moment with the brother.
Oh, with the brother went.
Woo, Jack! I sure do like your threads.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't like that part.
It was 78.
It did be, so.
Yeah.
But besides that, yes, and Batman 89.
Well, real quick, still on Superman. Mm-hmm. One of the things that took me out, I forgot totally how this film opens. Like, it opens with like a movie theater.
Yeah.
And the curtains open and you see the comic book. I had forgotten all about that. You talk about Margot Kidder and how great she is in this film, right? Where do you think she lands as far as credits?
I mean, obviously she's after Christopher Reeves. She's probably after Gene Hackman. Is she after Ned Beatty? And I just forgot Perry White.
Jackie Cooper.
And after Jackie Cooper?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which means she's 7th.
Yeah.
She's 7th. Because
Marlon Brando,
because in order is Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman. Then the title. Then Christopher Reeves. Jackie Cooper. Ned Beatty.
Yeah.
Then Margot Kidder.
I mean,
she's Lois Lane.
I suspect everyone's agent was better than Margot Kidder's in 1978.
That's true. because Jackie Cooper is an aging name.
Yeah, but by an aging name, he'd been Jackie Cooper.
But he's still been Jackie Cooper.
About 50 years by then. I mean,
Ned
maybe
Beatty
40
is
years.
definitely a name.
Had Ned Beatty won an Oscar by 78? Because did he win for, what did he win for? Network?
He won for Network.
That's before Superman?
I want to think that's after Superman. For some reason, I think that's maybe 80.
Okay, but he's still Ned Beatty.
But he's still Ned Beatty.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
still-
if nothing else, he did Deliverance.
Right.
So he's Ned Beatty.
Yeah, he's still Ned Beatty, right.
And Gene Hackman, and well, Marlon Brando, just because of his paycheck.
Right.
It's number one.
Right.
Gene Hackman, definitely a name.
Absolutely.
And
Christopher Reeves is actually playing Superman.
He's Superman.
He's actually
like
playing
they can't
Superman.
do him, but so dirty.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that just took me out. It just took me out. Batman '89.
Batman 89.
A film that I actually, I am genetically coded to love this movie. Mm-hmm. I like this movie, right? I don't love it as much as I want to. Right? Yes. Did I see it in the films? In the films? Yes. Did I see it 20 times in the movie theaters? Yes.
I'm laughing because I'm doing your tell. Why are we spending so much time talking about this, Lynn?
I know.
I know.
I had watching it again this time, right? I was once again mesmerized by how truly good Michael Keaton
Yeah.
is in this. You talk about how Christopher Reeves is supported very much, held up by Gene Hackman and Margot Kidder. I think Jack Nicholson's just having fun.
Yeah.
I think Michael Keaton is what makes this movie
Absolutely.
work. He is 100% what makes Batman '89 works. As Bruce Wayne and as a stiff-necked,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
as Batman, he holds that whole thing together.
I agree. Of course, I also love the direction and the set design.
The set design is great. I think the direction is like okay.
I mean,
I'm not a big Tim Burton as a storyteller. As a visual artist, I can't knock him. As a storyteller, I think he's okay.
I really like Batman.
It's not my favorite Batman movie.
This is what gets me in trouble with people. I actually like Batman Returns better,
A lot of people like Batman.
but Batman Returns is my favorite Batman movie.
Batman Begins is my favorite Batman.
Yeah,
I know.
you know how I feel about the Chris Nolan
I
Batman.
know.
Fine, I'll make a Batman movie. If you insist.
All right.
I'm way too cool to make Batman movies, but y'all have given me all this money. So I guess I'll make a Batman movie. Fine.
Well, he made a good Batman.
I mean, if y'all, apparently, if you're ashamed of superhero movies and you still want to be a cool kid, but you also want to watch Batman movies.
I think it's a superhero movie.
I mean, I guess.
It's not Man of Steel.
No, but sure.
He's not Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I know, but at least, well, you're not baiting me. Go ahead. Are you finished?
I'm done.
You finished?
I'm done.
All right.
Okay.
So
Can
now
we move on now?
Can we?
Can we?
Oh, we can.
Do I have your permission to move on? Do I have your permission to move the show on?
Very much have
trying
my-
to
Right.
keep it in line. We're on a timer.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not the one trying to.
Jesus.
drag it.
Let's get into our review of Neptune Frost.
You ready?
First time for trailer talk. Really, one quick piece
Go
two
ahead.
pieces of trailer talk.
All right.
One that it just dawned on me today.
Okay.
We've been doing these shows from our new studio.
Yes.
And they're up on YouTube for everybody to check out. Mm-hmm. And we do the trailer talk, which gets edited out of the podcast.
Yes.
I realized there's some of these trailer talks we probably need to edit out the actual show too.
Oh.
But we haven't.
Okay.
I was like, you might need to.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I forgot that they're still on YouTube.
Yeah, we might need to.
Okay. All right.
I'm not gonna go back.
All right.
We haven't gotten in trouble yet.
Yeah, but okay. All right. Fair. All right, that's a good point. All right, what's the second part of trailer talk?
Case in point, this trailer talk. I didn't know that Harry Belafonte.
What are you about to say?
Well, I read it in 4 different places.
Okay, what?
And he had an affair
Yeah.
with Joan Collins.
I mean, look, man.
Joan Collins? I mean, Joan Collins is a nice looking woman.
What year was it?
I mean, okay, it was like 60 something.
I mean, it's 1960 something Joan Collins.
No, I mean, hey, 1970 something Joan Collins.
Right,
Joan Collins.
right. So, what is...
I was just interesting that it was Joan Collins.
Why?
I don't know why. I actually don't know why, because Harry Belafonte, like, historically dated white women.
I mean, he was married to white women for like 80 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you can't really.
This is
he
not-
wasn't married to 80 years.
Not
He's
80
married,
years.
He's married 3 times.
But he was right. I don't know what's surprising about this.
I don't know. It's just interesting. Well, no. You know what? Actually, I found most interesting about that.
What is so interesting about this?
In that, like you said, he's on brand with that,
Yes.
right? But that couldn't. I couldn't help but then think of Sidney Poitier
Yes.
and his long relationship
Yes.
with Diane Carroll,
Yes.
which did not end in any type of matrimony.
No.
But Sidney Poitier would then go and marry
Right.
a white woman.
Yeah. He was married to a black woman when he was having the affair with Diane Carroll.
Right. So you know, like, to me, just looking at the optics of that, like, you did dirty.
Look, man, look.
I don't know. This is where my mind went. I guess my gossipy mind.
Yes. It's all very gossipy.
And this is why this needs to be cut out.
It needs to be cut out.
Do you see why these
Right.
needs to be
Well, the funny thing, I don't know if you remember, but part of you having to come around to the word, the flesh and the devil, is that you said you didn't see any passion between them. And I argued there very much was passion between them, and, you know, bringing in their personal life, like, you know, Harry Belafonte, of course, was, I don't know if he was married to a white woman at the point, but Inga Stevenson, who was was that who it was?
Inger Stevenson.
Was secretly married to a black man
I did know that.
until she died. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it is that weird kind of parallelism in that film.
Yeah.
Where you have these people trying to pretend that they're acting, that they have this, that they're able to have this passion for a person in the separate race in 1959, which is crazy.
It is crazy.
But they both, in their personal lives, were living that life.
They were living.
Inga Stevenson secretly. This is actually something, again, from colorization, where it was so secret that when, I forgot which one of them died first, but either her or her husband, because her husband was an actor too, whichever one of them died first, the other one had to pull out paperwork to prove that they were married. Like the morgue and the hospital so wouldn't let them claim the body.
Wow.
And they were like, no, we're married. It was like, what are you talking about? And then so there you go.
Interesting.
This has been 50s Hollywood gossip. That'll be edited out.
Oh, I made a mistake. I looked at the chat. I see George Kimona has left us, so I feel like
Picard was amazing. I loved
about
everything
Picard.
about it. It stuck the landing. It was member berries, but it was member berries in the best sense because I thought the plot was fantastic. I love seeing everybody together.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it a lot. My one quibble is that I did not like the stinger at the end with Q.
Yeah.
I could have just leave it clean.
Right. Well, you know, you see where this is going.
No, well, there's actually nothing in the works.
Yeah, I know.
So
yes, I know what
they're
I know what the press release is. Clearly, there's going to be a spinoff.
Yeah, but other than that, I thought it was great. I enjoyed it.
I know they're setting it up. I am a little sad that Captain Shaw died.
Me too.
Because I liked him.
I liked him a lot, man.
Like, one of the things that I like about, what is it, Wolf 359? Or I like that dent in Picard's armor.
Yeah.
Like, I like that there are people who are like, I don't really rock with you.
Yeah.
That was my favorite little initial thing about Ben Sisko. That like you Federation's favorite boy, but I don't really rock with you like this.
Exactly.
Because you were Borg and you caused a mess.
Exactly, because it just makes Star Trek that much more like real to me, because it would make sense that not everybody is coming in having watched all 7 seasons of The Next Generation.
Right.
Some people, they come into those characters where they get in. There's just this name, like, yeah, the Enterprise. Yeah, that's this shit out there. They're doing whatever. And like Shaw would say, yeah, we've heard about y'all hot dogging it all over the place. You know, like, we know because we're watching it, you're like, they're very earnest about everything they do. But if you just reading the reports, it sounds like a whole bunch of Kirks out here.
Right.
Just willy-nilly doing what the hell they want.
Almost getting everybody killed.
Almost blowing up the goddamn...
At least twice a year.
Exactly.
What do you mean we almost went to war with the Romulans?
Right.
So.
Exactly. So I dug it.
Are you ready?
I had to answer for George Kimona.
Okay, I'm going. No.
You don't want to talk about The Mandalorian?
No. I'm going. I'm like Alec Baldwin and Glengarry Glen Ross. They all here now? Okay, I'm going.
I'm going. Hey, you want coffee? You should get the coffee for closers.
Coffee's for closers. Like Slick Chester.
Oh my god. You want to talk about a movie?
Okay, I'm going.
Wait, I gotta compose myself for the edit.
Neptune Frost, a 2021 science fiction film co-directed by Saul Williams and Anissa Ozyman, starring Cheryl Izoja, Elvis Ngabo, and Kaya Free, follows the relationship between Neptune and Metalluza, who are Colton miners whose love leads a hacker collective. The film is an Afrofuturist story set in a village in Burundi made of computer parts. Centers on the relationship between the two, Neptune, who's an intersex runaway, and Metalluza, who's a Colton miner. This, as we close out Octavia April, was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, how would you like to begin our conversation about 2021's Neptune Frost?
I've been thinking about this all day.
Okay.
Because I really am not sure where I want to begin with this film. It's you read like the brief synopsis. Let me just read this to give you an idea of the headiness of this movie. In the hilltops of Burundi, a group of escaped Colton miners form an anti-colonialist computer hacker collective. From their camp in an otherworldly e-waste dump, they attempt a takeover of the authoritarian regime, exploiting the region's natural resources and its people. When an intersex runaway and an escaped Colton miner find each other through cosmic forces, their connection sparks glitches within the greater divine circuitry. You take the bare bones of that story, that there are these workers who find a way outside of some colonial mining expedition, but these like colonialism, basically. You know, the shit that colonists do. Mm-hmm. And they find their way out of that to become like this separatist sect of their own. And in the midst of that, two desperate souls come together in some type of entanglement, which proves to be the linchpin for changing the world as they know it. That's the Matrix.
Right.
And not only is that the Matrix, but that is kind of like the building block for a lot of great science fiction. Mm-hmm. Now you take this film that is wrapped in the trappings of, and the science fiction is all right there, with there being like this e-waste dump and them being in like this other kind of like dimensional plane where people have to find their way to get to one another. But then you wrap it in Afrofuturism, mm-hmm. which looks at all of this science fiction from an African diasporic lens that has ties or connections to colonialism, as we said, enslavement, being robbed of your resources, being pulled away from who you are, to gender, all of that being wrapped up into the story of this film. And then you layer on top of that the aesthetic and the design of bold colors, bold facial trappings and face paint and makeup and accessories and wire work in front of your face, and taking what you got by using television screens, mm-hmm. and painting them and transposing them so that they become basically the building blocks for your huts. You put all of that together, and then you double down with original, thoughtful, lyrical, poetic imagery and music, mm-hmm. that, while sung in a different language, still feels harmonic to your ear. You are able to, even if you don't read the subtitles, you're still able to get the gist of what everybody is talking about, what is going on the screen. Mm-hmm. And then you pack on that some breathtaking photography. Mm-hmm. You have maybe one of the most beautiful films that I've seen in easily the last few years. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous film. I was watching this movie with my girlfriend, and she was a little hesitant on watching it. It's like, I don't know, but because she doesn't have to watch it. Mm-hmm. But she sat, and 5 minutes into it, she said, "Oh, this is real lyrical." Mm-hmm. And then she just sat back, and you just like let it wash over you, mm-hmm. right? And it was so cool. It was so beautiful. It was so assured of what it was. Mm-hmm. And I've said, and I've seen this a couple of places, but I definitely feel like this is almost like a direct descendant to what Space is the Place is from Sun Ra, right? With the complete with the use of music that in Sun Ra I just didn't get. But in this, while I don't understand the wordings of it, I 100% appreciate. The difference is that Sun Ra, because it was made in the 70s, and maybe because of some distrust on the filmmakers, does deal in some of the politics of Hollywood at the time that become baked into that story, right? And this film doesn't have to do that. This film does not have to follow that lead, and it's allowed to just really have this meditative conversation about all of these aspects of Afrofuturism that it wants to present to you in real time on the screen. And I enjoyed it for the most part. I do feel that there's a moment where the film, because there's a slight lack of tension in the film,
Right.
So it tends to kind of like lull like a dream on you, and that can be a little like, okay, you got to push through that to get to the end, because I don't think there's really any real tension at all to the film until like the very end of the movie.
Right.
And by then, if you've pushed through, you're there. And you're with it, and it wraps up pretty good. And I don't want to spoil it a little bit, but it's a very beautiful, thoughtful ending. But that lull does make it a little harder to get through. But what takes you all the way there is just the beauty on screen from the actors as well. And a lot of these are first time actors.
Absolutely.
First time actors, speaking their native tongue. I think the naivete of acting shows, but it doesn't show for. There still is what they lack in skill as actors. They make up for in sincerity of performances.
Sure.
And I believe that they all are there because they all live this life. I don't think anybody's there playing a part.
Right.
This is the life that they live. These are Sun Ra's children, and if Sun Ra saw this, he would be very proud of what his children are doing. But Sun Ra was American. This is not, and I think that detachment allows this film to, unfortunately, maybe not connect with some people.
Sure.
But I think that is the risk that you take. And I also think that detachment on first viewing, well, if you push through, you might get it or you may not. I think this is a film that I'm very anxious to watch again, because I know that I have a feeling it will reward even more on the second time around. I enjoyed it. It was a little harder to get through, but I can't say that this was not an experience for me. And at the end of the day, that's what you want from a film.
Yeah. I think this is a difficult film. This is one of the more difficult films that we have watched during our journey. And by difficult, I mean you have to engage this film. This is not a film that you can multitask.
Nope.
This is not like, you really do have to,
And that's not just because of the language.
No, not at all. Just the storytelling, the filmmaking. All I was thinking of the more difficult films that we have discussed, and I thought about something like Sankofa, or Daughters of the Dust, or something really close to this in my mind, the oversimplification of her beauty.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that all three of these films had going for them in the case of both Sankofa and Daughters of the Dust is that Holly Garima with Sankofa and Julie Dash with Daughters of the Dust are master filmmakers. Mm-hmm. And they were master filmmakers when they made these movies. So that any of the just difficulty of storytelling and you know, just the general baseline, what is going on in this movie. Yeah. They're able to walk you through it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's out of sequence. There are continuity things. It's, you know, there are language issues, language challenges, but you get through. And then for all of the multimedia flourish and mixed media things and the various approaches to storytelling in oversimplification of her beauty, Terrence Nance's passion for this woman is a through line.
Yes.
And Neptune Frost, from a story perspective, is a little bit more abstract. Like, you don't have this great, as much as it purports to say it has this love in the center of it, even the love affair is a bit abstract.
Yes.
Between Mata and Neptune. And, you know, Saul Williams is an amazingly talented person. You know, he's one of these hyphenates that does a million different things. Filmmaker is not the first thing they say about him. No. And I'm not familiar with Anissa Uziman, but certainly she's no Julie Dash or Holly Garima. So a lot of the question, just in my mind, sort of the baseline question is this film worth the effort that you have to put into it to engage it on the experience, on a film experience? Right. You know, and I think that's a fair question when you think about the origins of this film. And Saul Williams, you know, he wanted to be a musical, he wanted to be a graphic novel, all of these different things.
Which you can easily see.
And I ultimately land where you do, where I think you must acknowledge the effort that you have to put into this. But it's very much worth it. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, there are two aspects of this film that I celebrate. First and foremost, as you mentioned, the plot, as much as there is sort of a standard science fiction plot where you know, there's some rebels and there's this this grand authority that they're fighting against. But this is very much a kind of post-colonial African film that is serving commentary on the exploitation of resources and workers' rights and how, you know, utilizing your culture can help you navigate. There are issues of gender, as we mentioned. The main character is intersex. Who this character is played by two different actors, right? A male actor and a female actor, and it's just the type of story, just on the simple level of representation, I'm always going to celebrate. Yes, like not just black voices, but different kinds of black voices.
The full diaspora.
Right, the full. And then the second part, as we mentioned, this was a film that began in a couple of different places. And so much so that Saul Williams had a Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. And this is a film that, you know, the Kickstarter made less than $200,000. For the sake of argument, let's say that there was some more resources besides this $200,000. Let's give them another $1 million. This is an amazingly small budgeted film. And what these filmmakers were able to achieve visually
Yeah.
with the lack of resources that they have is nothing less than extraordinary.
I know.
Like you said, as a film, I can argue about the level of engagement you have to get into it as a film. But this is very much one of these experiences. You can turn the volume down. The costumes, the reuse of computer parts and electrical parts, what they do with makeup
Yeah.
and hair design. This is one of the most visually arresting films I've seen in a really long time. And one thing that I very much want to give credit to them, this is not a film that defaults to this sort of exoticism or Orientalism that you get with films that are set in quote unquote other places.
What do you mean by that?
The best example would be something like my beloved Blade Runner, which, you know, you talk about the design sense of Blade Runner and this sort of cyberpunk aesthetic. But even in Blade Runner, so much of it kind of defaults to this kind of Asianness, where, you know, it's Asian language and it's people with kimonos and people using chopsticks. And the subtext is, ooh, aren't these foreigners exotic?
Okay.
This is so exotic.
Okay.
And while this is a film set in a part of Africa that many of us aren't familiar with, I think there is a distinct difference between this African aesthetic. Like, this is an African nation. This is, you know, Burundi and everything, and Rwanda, a lot of it, you know, is in Rwanda. And these visuals that we're talking about. Like when they depict the technology that's being used, when they depict Neptune's dream state.
Okay.
There's a wonderful scene with some women gardening, and they're wearing these white costumes. That, again, just Saul Williams and Anissa Ozyman's eye.
Well, yeah.
And sense of design is just extraordinary. And I think what I came away with is this is what they did with $200,000. Just for frame of reference, Tyler Perry, who famously keeps his costs low, so that's part of the Tyler Perry thing. I don't use a lot of money. My productions are bare bones. I looked it up real quick. Medea Goes to Jail had a budget of $17 million. Can you imagine if Saul Williams had
$17 million.
Can you imagine if he had $5 million?
Right.
What he could have done. So if nothing, I celebrate, and what I put in my notes is that when you don't have resources, ideas
That's your resource.
really take the place of special effects.
Well, because yeah.
So that I thought this was a triumph.
Well, it's not. It is ideas take the place of special effects, but it also is. Somebody had said it once before on a movie set that I was on. It was the. This wasn't the word, but it's akin to like the necessity, because you know what you want,
Right.
and you want to get as close to it,
Right.
but you know what your budget is. So
Right.
now you look at, okay, how can I make this happen?
Right.
And now it's like, all right, and by doing that, you stripped everything down to exactly what you need. And usually what you need is really all you need.
Right.
And
But
you pull it off.
But I still I go, like you've got to have this imagination.
Well, you've got to have
you've got to have this in like you were talking about this being a spiritual child of space is the place, and I 100% agree with you, because that's part of what I loved about space is the place. Like just this design sense that you had to do, or even something just to pull something super random from our experience that you and I both enjoyed in this context. Sugar Hill, like at a moment when many of us are going through these big budget movie fatigue. Like, a complaint that many of us have, even if we're fond of them, like all the Marvel movies just sort of look alike at this point. And, I don't care how many records Avatar broke. It just looks like sort of a blue squishy blob to me. It really did do my heart good to see this type of energy.
Yeah.
And again, this level of just artistry.
Well, that speaks to the importance of having intentionality guide your hand.
Yeah.
When you're making work like this.
And they have a vision. Like they had a vision.
And they didn't compromise their vision.
Right.
They just did what they had to do to pull it off.
Yeah.
Right. I also like the text of this film, and it kind of like shares it with Space is a Place a little bit, in that, and even though Space is a Place is American and this is not, we Black people are all we need. Mm-hmm. And once we recognize that and embrace that, half the battle is over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they both films share that text. I think that because of some of the trappings that Space is a Place has to go journey through because of the time setting and the cost of getting the movie done. Mm-hmm. I think that story, that idea is more nuancedly explored in this film.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. And that's where I speak to like the sincerity of the performances. That the acting is not 100% up to snuff, but you felt like I don't know the language you're speaking. I don't understand this language you're speaking, but you sound like you believe what you're saying.
Yeah. There's an authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity.
To it, and not for nothing. It's also worth mentioning. Everyone is beautiful.
Oh my God!
Like everyone is beautiful, and I will never miss an opportunity to celebrate Blackness being lit correctly. Mm-hmm. And the colors and everything, and it's fancy. Now, kind of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seems like you were alluding to there are moments that you could argue it runs long.
Yes, which
I think says more about the relative inexperience of the filmmakers. Mm-hmm. Which
including Saul.
Starting with Saul Williams. And it really does have a lot of it feels like a first film. Like it feels like a first film in many ways, where like even as not filmmakers just doing this for so long, there are scenes where it was like they could have shaved 30 seconds or so off of this scene. Yeah. They could have here there. But
maybe a little bit too precious of an edit.
Right. But ultimately, again, it's the difference between something that meanders and something that ruminates is the quality of the film, and I think it passed the test. Yeah, very much so. So I guess the question, of course, would be: would you recommend Neptune Frost?
I would recommend it.
Okay.
I would recommend it, and I only pause. I honestly only pause because I know some people who are like, Len, what do you got me watching?
Yes. No doubt. Absolutely.
So that's the only pause that I have. And I also do pause though because, as I mentioned, I think this is a film that either you're going to get it or not on the first viewing. Mm-hmm. But if you get it on the first viewing, I think you will appreciate it even more on the second viewing. Mm-hmm. If you don't get it on the first, you'll never get it. But if you even like it just a little bit the first time around, then maybe wait like about a year or so and watch it again, and I think you'll even appreciate it that much more. Right? Yeah. I couldn't help but while I was watching this film, and I wanted to almost give like a spiritual thank you to, and I'll name a couple of people, friends of mine, Malika, friend of the show Lee Sumter, friend of the show Charlene Griffith, Joe Illidge, Ariel, our friend. There are quite a few people in my spectrum, in our spectrum. Alexa Gold, who does the music for our the class of 1989. There's a lot of people who, in being like a tribble and a geek and doing this movie stuff, I've come across who identify as Afrofuturists, right? And in getting to know them and in getting to appreciate how they live their life, and becoming closer with each and every one of them, those are the people who have affected my life to the degree that watching this film allowed me to appreciate this. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like maybe 10 to 12 years ago, I watching a film like this, I don't think I'm getting it. I don't think I'm really appreciating it in the way that I did now. Mm-hmm. So I thank them for the effect that they've had on my life. And if they have not seen Neptune Frost, I invite you all to check out this film because it is a very, very beautiful, meditative film that I think people will get something out of the experience.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I think this is a fantastic way to end the month. And it really does speak to the potential of the philosophy of Afrofuturism, not just Black people in the future, but how do Black people shape the future? Yeah. And it's a fascinating film. Again, Saul Williams as this multi-hyphenate, like he does so many things. I really hope he pays some attention to filmmaking and does this again. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will sign up for his next film. So check it out. Most absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that, as Vincent alluded to, ties a bow on this year's Octavia April, or Salute to Afrofuturism and Black Sci-Fi. Before we move on and tell you what we're going to be watching next week in everyone's favorite month of the year, I invite you all to follow the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every Black film ever made at micheauxmission.com, where you can hit swag and check out all of the cool designs that we have by way of our good friends at TeePublic that you can purchase, along with 6 Degrees of Dervell Martin collection. We've got a top 5 collection that will be going up there pretty soon. Hey, we might even find Slick Chester. Because why not? Why not? On a shirt. And the reason why we sell these wares up there, ladies and gentlemen, is because Vincent and I, the Micheaux Mission is something that we enjoy doing and we enjoy bringing to each and every one of you, and we celebrate everyone that supports us. And shout out to Podglomerate, our podcast network that allows us to do this and gets ads for our shows, and which helps keep the show afloat, right? It helps. But what also helps keep the show afloat is
you. So anything that you purchase from T Public, from the Micheaux Mission, a couple of shekels goes to us to keep the show up and running. We don't want you to subscribe and become patrons and Patreons. No shade on Patreon. But we do this because we like doing it. So if you want to buy something, buy something. If you don't, we're going to still be here watching these films. Okay? All right. I just wanted to say that. You can email the Micheaux Mission. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you bought. micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's micheauxmission@gmail.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail. 215-867-9666 and tell Vince and Len what is on your mind. Starting next week, you're going to have a question to answer.
Oh, Lord.
Well,
Oh, no. I'm
it's
sorry.
time.
You're right.
It's time.
Yeah.
So next week, you'll have a question to answer. Right now, you can just say whatever you want. Leave us a voicemail. I see you've been wanting to pick up the phone. Just do it.
Call me now. I never get tired of that.
And follow the Micheaux Mission on all your social media. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, @Micheaux Mission. On Facebook, join the Micheaux Mission Facebook group where people have a lot of fun chit-chatting with one another. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, on YouTube, @Micheaux Mission. Subscribe so you do not miss any one of our live shows and any of the shorter edited segments that will be going up. I've got a whole bunch already started. I'm the only editor here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, you see what he does. So I will get them up for you.
You want me to connect Dervo Martin and anybody else?
No. Give me more stuff to edit. No, thank you. Anyway, so feel free to subscribe on YouTube to the Micheaux Mission, which is a proud member, as we mentioned, of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work. And don't forget, the Micheaux Mission is filmed here in the Video Content Factory in Manayunk. Videocontentfactory.com. Philly's premier podcast studio for video. Make it so. Dylan, my man, is right there behind the boards. Tea Leaves is in the wind, but he's making stuff happen. Trust me. Tea Leaves is that dude. All right. Next week on the Micheaux Mission, it is everyone's favorite month of the year. It's May, which means that it's time to ask that eternal question.
Mother, may I have another one of those bad black movies?
That's right. It's Bad Black Movie Month.
Oh, boy.
And this year, there's 5 weeks in May.
Yay!
So that's 5 black movies. So Vincent has chosen 2.
Yeah?
I've chosen 2. And on our 5th week, we've got a 5th bad black movie that's being chosen by a very special surprise guest.
Yes.
Oh my God. And we are kicking things off in style next week with Vincent's selection from 1995, starring, you'll never guess, Billy Blanks.
Billy Blanks!
Yes, Mr. Tybo himself.
The Tabo Man.
Billy Blanks. No, we're not reviewing one of his infomercials.
No, I wish we were. It's probably better than this.
It probably is. We are reviewing Billy Blanks. And he's not even just an action man. Billy Blanks is a virtual reality super soldier.
Yeah.
In Expect No Mercy.
That's right.
What the hell have you got me signed on for?
Well, you know what you should expect? No mercy.
Next week.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do this May thing. We're going to do it up.
You know what? I told somebody the film that you had chosen for next week, and they said, and I quote, "Oh, y'all ain't playing."
Look, I don't know if my brother is tuning in right now, but I know he's happy. This is prime Williams brother viewing right here.
Did y'all watch this together?
Probably. This is prime 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Williams brothers watching something on late night cable right here.
So next week, ladies and gentlemen, expect no mercy
With
here
Billy Blanks.
on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.